Hi, my name is Thomas Johnson, and I'm the founder and CEO of GetUpNGetFit Wellness Coaching Concierge. I'm also a C-suite advisor and investor. You're listening to the How May I Serve You podcast, where I'm constantly on the quest to surround myself with the best coaches while learning how to better serve our executive clientele by asking them, how may I serve you? Today's show is sponsored by Get Up and Get Fit. Get Up and Get Fit will be providing students with textbooks and school supplies in Cambodia in honor of our guest today, as well as our philanthropic mission to impact at least 50,000 people per year. Today's guest is Stephen Howard. Stephen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm great. I need some of your energy, sir. I'm getting energized listening to your introduction.
That's awesome right there. So, Stephen Howard is a strong facilitator and keynote speaker who has delivered B2B sales, leadership, and talent development programs in Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America to numerous big name organizations. Wow. Ooh, okay. He brings expertise in leadership, sales, marketing, and business development. An author with 36 years of senior sales and marketing experience in Australia, Asia, and the USA. His corporate career covered a wide variety of fields, ranging from consumer electronics and computers like Texas Instruments to publishing, Time Magazine, and from a national airline, Airlinka, to personal financial products, VP marketing at Citibank. He has been a member of the training faculty at Forum Corporation, MasterCard University Asia Pacific, and the Citibank Asia Pacific Banking Institute. Stephen, you are a man that's well traveled and very skilled, man. Talk to me.
I've had a lucky life. Enjoyed it. I got sent to Asia when I was 23 years old.
Okay,
Asia was just starting to boom, and I took advantage of it. It's been a wonderful journey.
that's amazing. So you got started. You haven't looked back since, huh?
Not really, not really. In fact, I'm repeating myself. History's repeating myself. I moved to Mexico City about 7 months ago because I
Oh
see
wow.
Mexico and Latin America being like Asia was in the 1980s. A thirst for knowledge, a thirst for information, a booming middle class. Once we get past this pandemic, I
Mhm.
think Latin America will be the place to be. So I'm here. I'm ready for it.
That's amazing right there. That's amazing. So, Stephen, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, the 2 minute version.
The 2 minute version? Well, 2 minute version, as he said, graduated from college, got hired by Texas Instruments. After a couple years in Dallas, they sent me to Singapore. I got hired as a salesperson for Time Magazine because I wanted to stay in Asia. Became regional director. I ran Time Magazine's operations from Brunei to Pakistan along the
Mm,
southern Asia border. Then I went to work for Airlinka for a year. Time Magazine wanted me to move back to the United States.
mhm.
Texas Instruments wanted me to move back, and I wanted to stay international. So I
Okay.
joined Airlinka, the national airline of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But one of our three planes blew up on the tarmac during the Civil War, and I was supposed to be
Wow.
on that plane the next night flying to London. So
Whoa.
Citibank had been trying to hire me for a year, and I decided banking was a safer industry than aviation and travel. So I joined Citibank, had a nice career with them, 5.5 years. That's where I learned a lot of my leadership skills. I
Mhm.
had 23 people reporting to me. And then I went off on my own and I've coached and trained over 10,000 leaders from every continent in the world except Antarctica, and it's too darn cold down there. I'm not going to go to Antarctica. So yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, and like yourself, I enjoy giving back. So
That's
it's
amazing right
great.
there, Stephen. So, what triggered you to take that journey when it comes to going independent?
Every organization, including Citibank, wanted me to move back to the United States. And if I had wanted to work and have a great career, and I could have had a
Mhm.
great career at Time Magazine, I could have had a great career at Citibank. I needed to have both U.S. domestic and international experience. I did not see myself working for somebody for 20, 25 years. And so, usually I left about every 7 years or so. And I decided I would stay in Asia. I wanted to stay international, my focus, and I had the opportunity at that time to become a permanent resident of Singapore, to start my own business in Singapore, and I grew it. And then I moved to Australia to run my businesses from Asia because it was easier to run from Australia than from United States, for instance.
Okay.
And I only moved back to the U.S. In 2012, and my father started to have some health issues, and I became his primary caregiver. Otherwise, I might have still been in Asia. Who knows?
Okay. Okay. So, what about Asia attracted you? Was it the culture, the people? Talk to me about that.
The culture and the diversity of culture. I mean, you can't think of Asia as one culture. I mean, the Japanese are
Yeah.
so different than the
So diverse.
Malaysians, who are very different from Indians and the Pakistanis, but hardworking, open, friendly, welcoming people pretty much across the board. I love the food. I love the travel. Look, it's not like today. I mean, I moved to Asia in 1980. They were throwing money at us. I mean, we all flew business class all the time. We stayed in 5-star hotels. I mean, companies were spending money like there was no tomorrow, but we built businesses. We built great businesses, and not just me. There's, several hundred of us that were, long-term expatriates in Asia at the time, and helped educate the growing middle class of Asia at the time. And, I'm very proud that one of the people I trained, for instance, in marketing, I hired him as a research person. He is now a professor of marketing at one of the leading universities in Singapore. Now, that's not all my doing. I got him on the right track. I started it, but he's learned a lot over the years, and kudos to him. That's kind of a nice thing to. I'd rather have that on my tombstone than the fact that I helped some company make millions of dollars in 1 year. Just a nice story.
Yeah, that's more personal, man. You could actually track that.
Yeah, it's more rewarding. It's nicer to think about that I contributed to several people's growth. That's just nice.
Yes, indeed. So, what got you into coaching, man?
It was kind of a natural step. I mean, this gentleman, quite frankly, after he worked for me at Citibank, and about a year after I left Citibank, he left, went to Compaq Computers at the time, and then he would call me up and say, "Hey, I got this issue, I got this problem. Can we meet for coffee?" And I said, "Sure." And it just became natural to talk to him. There's another young man at Citibank that I also was training, and then he left Citibank to work for an ad agency, and he'd call me up, and it was all informal, but it kind of felt like I enjoyed it, and I felt like I had something to contribute to them. I mean, in both cases, I was probably 12 or 15 years older, which meant I had 12 to 15 years of more work experience than them. And I enjoyed that. And then I got into the training game as well. And I enjoyed teaching in the classroom. And again, just being able to share my stories and bring the training to life by being able to say, look, here's a model for feedback, blah, 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 blah. But then I would be able to say, here's how I used that model at Citibank and what I did. And people enjoyed that. I got good feedback, and I just continued coaching and continued training since then.
It's awesome, especially with your large array of expertise traveling in different countries, man. I'm pretty sure you have a lot to share.
Yeah, well, that's now in North America, that's one of the key reasons large corporations hire me, quite frankly, because even before the pandemic, a lot of people were doing their backroom operations in India, but they were being managed from like Houston or Dallas or Atlanta, and they didn't know how to lead people cross-culturally. So I bring this, 30 years of multicultural, cross-cultural experience, and able to tell them, hey, when you start a conversation like this, people in India are going to react differently than people in Japan, and differently than people in Houston. And so understand the culture, because you're leading people. People think you lead organizations, you lead departments. No, you lead people. And so you have to understand that, people have different cultural backgrounds, experiences, knowledge. No culture is better than the other culture. We're all different. We all have our uniqueness, and we can all learn from one another.
Yes, indeed. So who do you coach primarily? Because I know you mentioned that these companies hire you to bridge the gap, right? So who do you coach primarily? Do you just work with large corporations? Do you work with individuals as well? Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, both. And in honesty, I work a lot with medium-sized organizations. There's an organization, it's a services company on the West Coast, and I started with one person. I now coach 3 people in the organization, and I actually have a phone call this afternoon with a 4th person. They've asked me to talk to this person, maybe take on a 4th person in the company. Mostly I deal with people who range from first-time leaders, a new supervisor, new manager, new team leader, on up to like the people reporting to the VPs. I'll be honest, I don't do a lot with the, vice presidents and C-suite people. There's all kinds of people dealing with them, and I really enjoy the younger people because they have a thirst for knowledge. So the average age I coach is between 25 and 40.
Oh, really?
I think over the years I've only had a few people, 45 plus that I've ever coached. And then so I coach them on leadership. I also, interesting sideline here, because I've written so many books, I now coach people on how to publish their book, and I can edit their book, I can proofread their book, I can help them get it on Kindle and Amazon and other things. So, during the pandemic, I helped one lady publish 3 books in about an 18-month period. So she put her time to use during the pandemic, and she, interestingly, we met a week or two, I can't remember now. And she wants to talk about her 4th book. So we sat down, had coffee, and she outlined her 4th book to me.
You got started, man.
I've unleashed a writer in this lady, so she wants to just keep writing.
That's awesome right there. That's awesome. So what's your coaching style like? I want you to describe your style, because I know you have such an array of experience. You have the teaching style, and let's talk about that. What's your style like?
My style is very personable, almost like you and I having this conversation. And I think from what I've talked to other people, one thing I differ in is I like to focus on what your strengths are. So, a lot of people want to say, I want to coach. I want to learn to do this better. I want to learn this better. Yeah, that's great. You do. But where's your strengths? Like in your case, Thomas, where's your strengths? Is it in communications? Is it in empathy for your employees? Is it in setting clear goals? Is it delegation? And then where are your weaknesses? And particularly a lot of people I coach, for instance, delegation is one of their weaknesses. They're not comfortable delegating.
Yeah.
So I said, where are you comfortable? What are your strengths? And well, I trust people, and I have high expectations of people. Well, that's a dichotomy. You can trust people, but if your expectations are too high, that may be why you don't want to delegate to them. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you can take one step. For instance, talking with someone earlier this week, I said, don't delegate the whole project, because you won't. Delegate the first 2 steps of the project to somebody. See how they do, and don't micromanage them, but don't abdicate either. Don't just let them sink or swim sort of thing. Yeah. So take it by a step. Then let's talk about it. How you felt about that? How did they do? You trust this person? Great. Now, can they do steps 3 and 4 next month? And then step 5 the month after. So you might end up spending 3 months working with the person before you fully delegate the entire task to them. This is a task that they have to repeat on a bi-monthly basis. So, and he's trying it. I'll call me in 2 weeks. I'll let you know how it went.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like you're really holding this person's hand, like your client's hand in general, right?
Yeah.
You're walking them through the steps, because it's mostly psychological.
A lot of it's psychological. A lot of it is confidence building, which I guess you could call it psychological as well. And the other thing I do with people, I say, look, I'm not a taxi service. If anytime you want to have a 15-minute phone call, I don't put the meter on. You got my calendar, access my calendar, you book it, or you call me on the phone if it's urgent, or send me a text message, and I'll call you back as soon as I can. And so that's kind of my value add service, is that, yes, we, like this individual, we meet on a month basis for an hour. But something comes up between that, don't wait. Give me a call. Let's work it out. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not a taxi meter. I'm not gonna charge you by the quarter hour, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's just part of my services.
Wow, right. CCC pretty much help with a lot of troubleshooting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, and if you've got coaches out there, or even people who, one of the things I coach people on, people are in our world today, everyone reacts. Everyone thinks they have to make a fast decision. And I almost got caught with this just before the pandemic. I was flying to Houston, transiting through Denver airport. And one of my coaching clients called me and said, Stephen, I'm thinking about doing this. Here's the situation. I said, okay, I got 10 minutes before I board. He laid it out to me, and he said, what do you think? And I've now trained myself, when somebody says, what do you think? My response typically is, I think I need time to think about it.
There you go.
What I said to him, and this is what I teach people. So fortunately, I walk the talk. I said to him, I said, you know what? I think you're on the right track. However, I'm
Mhm.
going to get on a plane. I got 2 hour flight to Houston. Can I call you back when I get off the plane and tell you what I think? He said, yeah, sure. That's no problem. I got and I was so glad because on the flight, I thought of what he had was really good, but I
Mhm.
actually thought of something to add on to his idea. And when I
Got it.
got off the plane, I called him and said, okay, here's what okay, great idea. Why don't you think about doing this? He goes, oh, I love it. I'm so glad I talked to you. And boom, off. So I think I need time to think about it is
Yeah.
a better response than reacting to somebody and just saying, yeah, sounds good. Go ahead and do it. Just shouldn't, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because you're much more thoughtful. Plus, you're able to you know, think it out. It's funny how when people tell you, "Let me sleep on it," that term is such an important term
Uh-huh.
because you actually give your body, yourself time to focus and to think about whatever subject that is,
Yeah.
without rushing into things. So being able to think, I think it was probably who was it? Who was it? Was it Warren Buffett that mentioned the ability to think is one of the biggest or best attributes? Um,
Yeah. It is, and what do we do? But we say we hire. We used to hire workers for the hands. Now we say we hire them for their brains. I love it. Next time you're in office, watch this when everyone's back in the office, and you're talking to somebody, and their boss starts to come by. They start typing on the computer like they're busy. It's
yeah.
like thinking is not
Mhm.
busy work. That's wrong. Thinking is busy work. I would pay somebody to be thinking, looking out the window, thinking of ideas, being creative, not just responding to emails all day long.
So Steven, how would you switch the culture, right? Because you just mentioned people don't highlight or give thinking the time that it needs, right? The admiration that it needs. How would you make thinking more popular, much more on a heightened basis?
Thank you, Thomas. I teach people, and in my books I tell people become a first responder. And
Okay.
I tell a little story. When I was in Asia, I learned to scuba dive, and I got up to rescue diver in my certification. Well, the first thing they teach as a rescue diver is somebody's in the water yelling, "Help! Help! Help!" You don't just jump off the boat. You stop, you assess, are there fishing nets that you could get tangled up in? Are there
Mm,
jellyfish? Is there an oil slick? Is the tide on the surface running differently than it was below when you happen to be in the water? And obviously everyone thinks about sharks, but in honesty, sharks are not the biggest risk that you have. And then you make sure you got all your equipment on, and then you jump in the water to go help the person. And it takes
wow.
45
All those
seconds to a
all
minute.
those steps. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's what we call our EMTs, first responders. So I teach people in the business world, when somebody comes to you and says, "I need a decision on this." Okay, fine. Ask some good questions. Get yourself under control. Do not get emotionally hijacked, because when we're under stress, the brain goes into what's called binary decision mode. That means it limits our choices to two:
Mhm.
this or that, black or white, yes or no, one or two. And in many times we need to think of options 3, 4, and 5. And that's why when you say sleep on it, that's what our brain is doing. It's thinking of other options.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even option 1, 2, 3, or 4. Sometimes it's, oh, if I take option 2 and add part of option 4, that's my best choice. And that becomes option 5. So you have to pause. You have to reflect. The best way to pause is ask some questions. The second best way is what I said earlier. I think I need time to think about that. Can I have half an hour? Can I have 20 minutes? Can I have till tomorrow morning? Depending on the situation, obviously. Excuse me. And the third thing is to turn around the person and say, "What would you do? What's your advice? What's your recommendation?"
Mhm.
And then, okay, let me think about that as well. So the whole thing is, don't just somebody comes up and says, "We got this situation. What should we do?" And well, go do this because it worked last time. That's reacting. You want to respond. So become a first responder.
I love that, man. I love that. This is my first time hearing that term, utilizing coaching. Normally, I would hear it with emergencies,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But that's a good term to utilize, man. Become a first responder, and the way you broke it down, it makes so much sense. You know.
Thank you,
So
thank you. And I tell people the importance of that. And people are using it, and I've gotten good feedback on it. So it's really good.
yes, indeed. So this is why everyone needs to go buy your book. They're plural.
Plural. Yeah.
So, Steven, I want you to give me like a 2 to 3 minute success story where you realize your practical approach, your first responder approach to help elevate one of your clients towards success?
Okay, thank you. I think the first one I can think of is a young man, mid 30s, that I first started coaching just about 2 years ago. And
Mhm.
when I coached him, he was the IT department head or assistant manager of IT in a company. And when I also talked to his boss, and one of the things that, he's very introverted, didn't like to socialize, thought that conversations like you and I having are a waste of time. He was just focus, work, deadline, do things. Very good at that, very good individual contributor. But they wanted to promote him into the head of the IT department, and they wanted to groom him for even higher positions. So in the last two
Mm.
years, I mean, I worked with him. I mean, one of the things that I remember very well, I think it was our second phone call. And I said, okay, what are you doing for Christmas parties this year internally? He says, oh, each department's having their own. I go, good. Here's your goal. I want you to go to walk into three other department Christmas parties. He goes, what? No. I want you to go to the marketing department. I want you to go to the finance department. I want you to go to the HR department. And you need to start mingling, because if you're going to rise in the organization, you need to have relationships outside your IT department and outside your boss. And he did it reluctantly. And then when he got promoted to the department head manager, I said, okay, now you got to start social, once a month or once in a while, you need to have a pizza party at work, bring in pizzas for your staff, or everyone go golfing together, go to the driving range. So he started doing that, and he's now become comfortable dealing with other people. And the real success, and thank you for the opportunity here, is last year he was promoted to the executive committee of the team of the whole of the not the team of the whole company. And
Wow.
he is one of the 4 or 5 young guns that the owners who started the company and the senior people who are in their late 50s, early 60s, kind of looking towards retirement. He's one of the 4 or 5 people that they want to turn the company over to going forward.
Wow, that's amazing right there, man.
Yeah. And it wasn't so good. I wanted one of the other people I coach is on his team. So he's done the same thing now. When he identified someone on his staff that he wanted to promote
Mhm.
after his promotion, he said, can you coach this guy? And it's very similar, IT people, not, just being stereotypical. They're not all like, but again, another young guy, very
Introverted.
quiet. I
Uh-huh.
said, what do you do for your social life? He goes, oh, I go home and I do gaming online. I said, no. I mean, when was the last time you went out and talked to a human being? He goes like, well, I said hello to the guy at the gym last week. I said, no. So same process with him, getting him out, getting him
Mhm.
comfortable with his people, trying to get him to, make friendships outside the company, and also everyone taking care of their mental and physical health these days. That's another focus that when I'm coaching people is making sure they're not burned out or not approaching burnout. So same kind of things.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, that's a great story right there. Stephen, do you find that with the more technology gets better, the more people tend to isolate themselves? Because I'm noticing a lot of folks within IT, and other technology industries, they tend to be very introverted into themselves. Do you also find the same kind of um similarities?
Yeah, I do. And look, Thomas, I'm a writer. I mean, most writers, what do we want to do? We turn the world off. Leave
Yeah.
me alone. Give me 5 hours. I'd rather, when I travel, I'd rather go to my hotel room and write than go to the bar and watch a game on, watch a basketball game on the sports bar or something. So, but yeah, I think I think what has happened during the pandemic is whatever people's natural tendencies are have been
Mhm.
emphasize. So if you were an introvert, quiet person, you kind of withdrew, and you withdrew in Zoom meetings. You didn't participate if you didn't have to. If
Mhm.
you were the very extrovert, you were slightly frustrated because you couldn't see people. I mean, you're a people person. You like to talk a lot, and then you start dominating the Zoom conversations as well. And so both people tended to go towards the extreme. And in both cases, I've been trying to coach people back to a more balanced situation. You can't isolate yourself, but also you can't dominate just because you're frustrated. You haven't been on make sales calls for the last 6 months, and hadn't had any people interaction. So getting people to understand, one of my favorite phrases is particularly the extroverts is, we all have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're going to learn a lot more if you use it in that proportion. Listen, twice as much as you talk, and you're gonna gain a lot more knowledge and information.
You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. So, Stephen, are you currently working on any new projects or new books that you could share with us?
I have a new book. I'm about halfway through, quite honestly. I'm pushing myself to try and publish it by the middle of March. Um, I'll even share with your audience here. I'll give you a little insight here. It is called Humany Leadership. It's a created word.
Okay.
Humany takes the word human, humanity, and harmony. And I'm talking about how to bring harmony into the workplace, which no one talks about harmony. Everyone talks about conflict management, but people want one thing coming out of the pandemic, we all want harmony in our life. We don't want work-life balance. We want work-life harmony. We want to harmonize our life. So leaders need to understand that. And so the whole book is about 10 skills that leaders need to focus on. What some of these we used to call soft skills, but now they're really essential skills. I even call them powerful skills. And so I'm hoping to come out with the book in, like I said, by mid-March. So Humany Leadership, How to Be a People-Centric Leader.
Nice. I love it. Make sure let me know because I will get a copy of that.
We'll put you on the list right now.
There you go. So if someone were to inquire about your services or want to get their hands on that book once it comes out, where can they connect with you?
Well, connect with me on my website. My company is called Caliente Leadership. So a lot of people know Caliente in Spanish means hot.
Yeah.
But most people don't know, though, the second definition of Caliente is passionate. A conversation caliente is a passionate conversation. So I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about development, leadership development. Also, where I live in Southern California, when I lived there, the land was owned by the Agua Caliente band of Indians, Agua Caliente hot water. And so it's my tribute to our Native American landholders as well, landowners. So Caliente Leadership, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen, middle initial B Howard. That's the Twitter handle. You can find me on LinkedIn, Stephen Howard. Just look for Greater Los Angeles region. And if you want to connect, you want to talk about any of these subjects, reach out to me. Be happy to talk with you. If you're interested in coaching or even want to know what coaching's all about, I'm happy to have a conversation with you and just see if you can benefit from coaching.
Awesome. So last but not least, Stephen, how may I help you? How may I serve you, actually? Not help. How may I serve you?
How may you serve me? I think you just did, Thomas. You asked some really great questions. You got a really good interview style. So publicize the heck out of this. And when the book comes out, please read it. If you enjoy it, please recommend it to people because I really think that this it's going to open up some eyes. I've got some controversial thoughts in the book about leadership, even about whether or not HR department should be reconstituted. A friend of mine says, I want to blow up the HR department. I said, no, I want to reconstitute the HR department. I want to make it more beneficial to organizations than what it's doing now. So that's just a little insight to it. So there'll be a little controversy in the book, but I'm hoping it will make people think. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I'm certainly saying I think I've got some answers and I can put you in the right direction of things you should be things you should be thinking about as a leader for the future.
Yeah, controversy forces people to think, right, and get out of the comfort zone. So
that's how you grow. That's how you grow. I mean, you don't grow. You don't become a better skier by staying on the bunny slopes. You become a better skier by challenging yourself. You got to keep doing, pushing yourself. It's outside that comfort zone. That's where you grow. Well, the same thing in leadership. That's where you grow.
Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right. So, Stephen, thank you for coming on this episode of How May I Serve You? Thank you for blessing us with your wisdom, your experience, and all your insight.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is 66, and I look forward to opening some champagne and celebrating when you hit number 100.
There we go. I love the sound of that. And I also like to thank all of our guests for coming on today and lending us their ears and their eyeballs. So, guys, make sure to come on next week. Tune in. And last but not least, stay well. God bless. See you guys next time. Cheers. We're out.
Keep serving, Thomas. Keep serving.